Hello, Maverick traders. Welcome out to your currency recap. It is December 6th. Corey here with you. We always like to take you through a top-down approach in the markets, talk about what's moving, be it US dollar, Japanese yen, cryptocurrency, whatever in currencies is moving. We want to be there. So we're going to highlight some setups, where we think money is rotating and where there's the next opportunity. All right, so let's jump into it here and take a look. As far as velocity, crypto has been, they had a nice base breakout. Crypto has been where it's at. If you're going to avoid or short crypto, it would certainly be Bitcoin Cash. That has been the serial underperformer. I still think British Pound, Aussie, Kiwi, those are in more uptrends overall. Euro has really fallen off in the past week or so. US dollar, Japanese yen, some of these things still more downward trending. And then the more, well, maybe less obvious, but the one that we've emphasized has been CAD underperforming. And even today, oil was down another 4% on the day. So as we kind of look at today's price action, that was really one of the stories, was the big down day in oil. Google launched its largest and most capable AI model yet. That's called Gemini. Also, private payrolls came in at 103,000 versus the 128,000 expected. We get non-farm payrolls on Friday. Now, as you look at this currency movement today, Aussie was down almost just shy of 1%. It was really the only currency moving. You could look at CAD and say, well, CAD was flat with oil down big. Does that mean that the CAD is kind of flushed out, that it's washed out? Well, perhaps. I don't know that it's a great short here, but it's still not ready to be a long in my estimation. Not yet, not until it starts to show some relative strength. So as we look at today, again, oil down big, crypto down 2% is not anything too major. You look at the S&P and these markets and say, well, they were flat. That's nothing happened. Well, not so much. Actually, we gapped higher and basically finished on the lows. So although we were around, just down about 1/4%, 0.5% in markets, and it doesn't seem like much, actually was a little bit more bearish day than it looks on the surface. So again, crypto kind of rolled over after what's been a nice run higher. So let's look at some things here. If we analyze the markets, we say, okay, we're still above the 20, still above the 50, still sloping higher. So you can't be mega bearish, but I wanted to emphasize again that not all days, if you just look at the percentage, you say, well, it was relatively flat. Actually, what happened was we gapped higher and then finished very near the lows. This is almost a Maribozu candle. A Maribozu candle is when there's no wick. It's just a solid body. Here it's not quite that because there's a little wick on this side and a little wick on this side, little shadow there. But for the most part, you can see the bearish engulfing. It swallows the prior 2 days bullish candles. It's kind of a slap in the face reversal. And I would anticipate a little bit more selling here in these markets, a little bit more downside in the S&P 500 seems likely. Now, if we look at what's on tap, we've had the ADP payrolls. Again, they missed expectations. We've got the Bank of Canada that came in and kept rates unchanged at 5%. We also had the RBA earlier this week, kept rates unchanged as well. For the rest of this week, we've got initial jobless claims tomorrow, nothing too major there. Then we've got payrolls, and payrolls are expected to come in at 185,000. still pretty strong. I would anticipate that that is probably a good guesstimate. And if they're too strong, I mean, if they're really strong, then you say, well, maybe the Fed has cover to raise rates further if they're nervous about things. So it could be a situation where really good data might be actually seen as a negative and might be more along the lines of maybe the Fed needs to hike further and maybe they have cover to do that because jobs right now are staying pretty strong. Let's look at a couple of possible trade ideas. Really, crypto has been the spot the last little bit here. You can see a perfect basing pattern and then the breakout a few sessions ago. This is Bitcoin itself. Now, where do we find ourselves? You've been on a huge run. So the concern would be that we're in a little bit of an exhaustion mode and we start to back up. But just from a technical standpoint, that would look like a buy the dip opportunity, or you start to consolidate sideways and create a high base. That would seem like a buying opportunity. What isn't, I think, a buying opportunity is to just buy right here, right now. I think it's in need of some consolidation or pullback would be what I'd be looking for. If we look at Ethereum, similarly, I think you've got to wait for a little bit of a pullback back to maybe the prior breakout point would be interesting, or if at high bases up here could be interesting. But right here, right now, I would go ahead and say crypto looks tired along with equities. And I think what that means is that we're rotating just in the short term, just very temporarily for a few days into a risk-off mode. And so in risk-off mode, we tend to think that maybe the US dollar is going to perform better and maybe things like crypto are going to back up a little bit. Again, I'm not making a huge trading call here, but I anticipate that playing the US dollar to the upside for a few days seems like a good bet to me. Playing, in terms of just a short-term dynamic. And specifically, USD doesn't look like a screaming buy, but I think it should do okay given that the things that have outperformed have been anti-dollar trades like gold and crypto. And both of those look like they're going to pull back. So even though dollar doesn't look strong on the surface, the things that it's against, primarily other cryptocurrencies and other assets that have a value that's anticipated to be similar to a currency, like gold, like silver, those things look like they're going to back up. So I would expect dollar up, gold a little lower, crypto a little lower just in the short term. Just a short term pause, pause that probably refreshes, and then we go again. Now, for the rest of this week, we'll be sending out updates. We'll get the trading room out this weekend. Hope you enjoyed this currency recap, and we will see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.